Hey everybody, welcome into the Casa here, and I'm in front of the Wall of Sound, which many of you are familiar with looking at now, and it's a very expensive conglomeration here of vintage audio gear spanning the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, particularly this row of Fisher stereo amplifiers really marks the beginning of true broadcast stereo units, and they're highly collectible, they're very expensive, and well, quite frankly, I don't want anything to happen to them. And the thing that we have to worry about here on the Rancho is earthquakes. Okay, my biggest fear is an earthquake. Now, what could happen in an earthquake? As you're watching me here, you're facing west, okay? You're facing towards the Pacific Ocean behind me. But the major fault line here that runs through Santa Rosa, a few miles west, and then about 30 miles east of that is the San Andreas Fault. It's not just one fault line. We have some minor ones that run through too, and by minor I don't mean that they're not going to be powerful when they go. Who in the hell knows? I mean, seismology, geology is a very inexact sort of science, and well, you should always count on the uncountable or the unpredictable there. But if a wave comes rippling through the property, they inevitably always come from behind the camera where you're looking from the east, from the fault lines, and they move to the west. As such, if a very big jolt, initial jolt, and that's what earthquakes initially do, there's that initial shock wave, and then everything kind of just, you either keep moving and adjusting, or the amplitude goes down of the shock wave goes lower and lower as things swing back in position. But if it's a strong initial shock wave, the units on here, that shock wave is going to suddenly take the whole house and push it backwards. Well, inertia, or the tendency of objects to remain motionless, is going to be strong with these stereo units, and as such they could appear to lurch forward, but in reality it's the shelf moving backwards. And when the shelf starts to move forward, if they're already forward on the shelf, then there's a good chance with the lurch backwards that they're going to project downward and will go over the top and cause a lot of damage. So I put a lot of thought into what I want to do to try to protect these units, and yet still maintain the integrity and the look of the Wall of Sound that I value so much. So let me explain a few options that we have. The first option I was looking at was buying these suction cups and then taking a screw and driving them down in the bottom, one on each shelf in front of the units. And that's not really a bad thing, because if I want to take a unit out, I can pull that unit out. And that in fact is what I may end up doing. But I'm also considering buying some strips of wood that go down here, and I don't need a full continuous strip across the front, but I may buy them. But I only need like a 3-inch or 4-inch strip on each side, because that's the area where the feet are underneath of the unit. And you can see that, and if I can put some blocking in front of that, the chances of having motion is going to shift this way is very slim in earthquakes around here. Again, it projects from where I'm holding the camera from to a forward position, and you're not going to have a lot of lateral movement here. And I've been through quite a few earthquakes already, but you can see if I can put some of those, secure some of those blocks down there, then I have really much less chance of these units moving forward. And some of these are tremendously heavy. They weigh 70 pounds. So when the shelf has that initial shock wave of moving backwards, they're going to appear like they're in space there all of a sudden, and then they're going to drop down. And the forward projection is going to leave them on the floor. So I think what I've decided to do this morning was go ahead and buy some of the small wooden strips here and install them at positions here that there's enough sideway lateral leeway that these will start, if they do slide into each other, it'll be almost impossible to come forward on the unit. So what does that mean? You guys know what that means. It's off to the lumber dick to get the stuff that we need today, our strips, and we're just gonna nail them in. We're not gonna do anything fancy here with them. We're just gonna nail them in, and that will do the job. Now the beauty is these strips won't be that tall. It's not like these things are gonna jump. Okay, they're not gonna jump. They're not gonna jump over the top, but that still leaves me enough room to lift out the units over the strips, and I still have, well, enough clearance to get the units out. So that's very important. I may, on some of the units that it's tight, I may get some screws and screw the strips down here, but I don't know. Of course, these are rubber. They've already been purchased here. You know, and one per unit could also allow, you know, they won't come forward, believe me, with these rubber suction cups. And if I want to remove a unit, it's simply a matter of just unscrewing it there and doing that. So it's kind of a hard decision for me to make, but it's one that I certainly want to have made the right way, because, like I say, there's a lot of value, there's a lot of highly collectible stuff on this wall that I would be very upset if it went skittering off in an earthquake. Okay? One way or another, this stuff is going to be secured today. Alright, I have Missy Jen running the camera here. What I ultimately decided to do was to go with the rubber stoppers because, well, two principal reasons. They have a little shock absorptive value to them. In other words, the rubber gives it a chance to absorb some shock and give some bounce back. And number two, it won't mar the finish on anything if we do have the calamitous earthquake. Actually, this wall of sound will probably be the last thing standing when everything else is on the ground. But you can see now, I'll demonstrate here, that as the shock wave moves, you can see there's no way that that's going to come off of that shelf there. And it also gives me the additional advantage here of being able to easily remove when I want to take the unit out and replace it. So yeah, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but it's certainly functional, and it's going to preserve the beauty of the wood in case we do have that big one. And I think it's highly functional. So I'm going to go ahead and pop a few more on here. Wow. Let's wrap this up. What do you think, Jen?
I'm just right now thinking that I'm amazed how much protection rubber really offers.
I mean, you saw me on these units here. There ain't no way that
yeah, you
can see the whole friggin' shelf is moving, and there's no way that there's no earthquake more powerful than what I just did to them there. Otherwise, they'd be on the floor. Okay.
So yeah.
All right. What do you think, Jan? It's not that. It's okay.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
more
okay.
Important to protect them.
It's better than having those expensive units laying on the floor, going actually through the floor, because some of them are so heavy they will go through the floor.
Yeah, if this big mother goes,
that big this is
like 80 pounds. This Kenwood Model 9 GX. So, well, I'm going to take a little more time. Take my time here to get this secured today, and then I think we'll sleep a little easier. The other thing that we did about a year and a half ago was I worried about all the collective weight here, because on the other side is the refrigerator, the stove, and this point has a tremendous amount of weight. So I actually went under the house. I bought jacks floor jacks and went ahead and relieved some of the strain on it and jacked that up and put that on post piers and things. So everything I do is try to be a little bit cautious here, because there's a lot of value here, and I don't want to lose it. The same thing if I turn the camera this way, on the wall of the amplitude over there, you have kind of the same deal. So all right, that I'm not so worried about, because the shock waves go east to west and not north to south. So okay, unless you have a earthquake that's south or north of you, and then you'll get some rippling, but it'll all be protected. Thank you, Missy Jen. So let's get on the job. All right, it's looking good. We're about halfway done here, and you know, they're not really as noticeable as I thought that they would be, so I'm really happy about that. Getting the big units secured, so even all the way up on the top, I don't think it did anything to diminish the beauty of it, and sure as hell is going to allow me to sleep a little better at night. So let's finish this puppy up. All right, guys, done. Finished. Passed the Missy Jen test here, and boy, I can sleep easier now that that's done. We have nothing's ever earthquake proof. Don't ever fool yourself, okay? You never know how severe the shock waves and things are going to be, especially the initial ones are always the most damaging. Plates come off walls, all kinds of things fall off shelves. Well, this stuff is not going to fall off the shelves. And this thing is actually tip proof, because if it tried to tip forward, the back edge would get caught on the ceiling. So in so many ways, it's really good to go now. And the rubber, as I said, it protects the units, and it also has some absorptive ability against shock waves too, which I really like. And if I need to pull a unit out, it's so easy just to unscrew the cup there and put it back in. So all right, there it is, guys. Thanks for being with me today. Earthquake proofing the wall of sound. Thank you so much.